Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Must Showcase. And just to introduce, Must is actually one of the largest data science communities of the country. There are about 560 data scientists who are working on major research projects and who are working on key research areas around artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science. It's a passion project for many. Must also runs a small academy of teachers or small academy of data scientists, practitioners who actually come and teach in a proper face-to-face session. So that's a little bit of a background about Must Research. And just to also introduce, Must Showcase is where we actually showcase all the cool projects that we do, right? It comes out of passion, it comes out of looking at the future, and comes out of a need to, serve society in the best way possible. So that's pretty much about Must. What we look at today is actually something very interesting. We look at emotions, and when I say we look at emotions, that's what really sets us apart as human beings, because almost every animal has emotions, but not everybody can express it. As human beings, we actually end up expressing it a lot, right? So even think of some of the things that we do, an appraisal meeting. I think everybody who's working or in a job is very much aware of how appraisal meetings go. That okay, this is the hike that you get. This has been your performance. You say okay, it sounds good, but there might be something on your face, or maybe you're extremely happy, right? So you actually jump in joy, or maybe you don't tell about it. You kind of say that fine, it's okay, but the happiness kind of shows through your face, right? So whatever words do not express, emotions do, right? And that's where the importance of emotions come in not just in our lives, but also to businesses, because almost every business is trying to capture your emotions, because as we know, any business that is trying to build a brand, that is trying to connect with their consumers, that is trying to get some feedback from its consumers, they try and go beyond words. They try and see how your emotions are connecting to or how their products are actually connecting to your emotions. And that's where our work today lies. So today we have two of the Must researchers. As we said, it's a community, and these are people who actually have had the passion to work out something in the emotion analytics space. So two of our Must researchers are here. I have got Santosh. Santosh has been a teacher. He has been a data scientist. He has been a lot of, and then his entire work, or a very, very seminal part of his work is actually around, data science in Excel, which I'm sure if you look around in YouTube, you'll find a lot of lectures that are there. And we also have Saudamini here. So Saudamini has spent about 20 years working with Microsoft, and then is now currently associated with us primarily in driving this research. What they've been trying to do literally over the last 3-4 months that I've been interacting with them is actually build a system of really, really capturing your emotions, not just the audio ones, but the visual ones, right? So when you say that, okay, I'm really happy with your appraisal, and they will be able to capture whether you will be looking for a job, or are you really going to concentrate on the work. So that's where the interesting part comes in. And thanks, Shodamini and Santosh, for joining today's Must Showcase. So let me start by asking you, but what drove both of you, to collaborate on this in this particular project? What really drove you to kind of take up a project like this out of the blue and decide that okay, we are going to work on emotion analytics, we're going to measure people's emotions?
Sure. Thank you, Tony, first and foremost, for giving a very good introduction about myself and Saudamini. Let me answer this question. Why did we even thought about this project? So as humans, right, we actually don't pursue things just by speaking or talking, or our responses are only through mouth, or our responses are also based on our expressions. So we read the expressions of the face, we look at an individual eyes, we hear them. So there's a lot of other things without even notice. A human intelligence perceives the senses, and on to all put together, we provide the response to an individual, whether it is a call in the video conference, whether it is looking at a movie, or whether it is having a look. Like for example, I'm going through a let's say for example, I'm just having an interaction with a person on the call. I don't know what exactly the person feels. At the same time, a call center, they tries to call to somebody, or we call to somebody, gives a call, inbound or outbound calls. What happens during the conversation? So everything is responded to emotions attached to the text or speech, and also facial. And with the current era of moving a lot of things to the remote work, this is a very relevant problem statement we felt. And of course, technology with respect to the data science and AI, we want to make sure that these capabilities induced to machines. A human naturally have these senses, but with the technology, we want to add these senses to machines so that machines can make sense out of the data, whether it could be a video data, which machine can see using computer vision, whether it is audio data, which machines can hear using speech to text. So we want to consolidate all the kinds of emotions that happens during the conversation digitally to in such a way that a person can make a sense out of this digital data, which is not currently available in most of the systems. In the other way, in a nutshell, if I want to say, the Zoom meeting which we are going through now, we want to make that intelligent enough that does this conversation, what level of emotional journey this conversation is going through.
Okay, that's a I think that's a brilliant rendition of why you kind of decided to take up this project. So let me also ask you, how is it that you really how do you really analyze emotions, or what really is the basic background of emotion analytics? What goes into it? What really happens?
Hmm. So for that, obviously, the first thing we want to understand is how a human goes. It's like an analogy. The way how we train a small child is the way we want to train a machine. As simple as that.
Okay.
Humans takes the data which through eyes understands whether it is a cat, dog, whether the person is smiling here, whether this person is shouting. All those things humans understand through eyes, understands through ears. So all these things definitely needs some kind of computational power for machine to understand, which I want to call it as a machine learning or data science. So the sequence of steps, I have some things to share it on the screen. Can I just open it
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
where somebody is giving the uh, somebody is trying to give the uh, speech in a conference, and the frames that get extracted on this video are placed automatically into various bins like this. For example, at the frame number 121, this person is neutral.
Can you, I think, we are not able to see it.
Yeah, I think we are not able to see the video.
You cannot see my screen?
We can see the PPT, but not the video.
Okay, your screen sharing is paused. 1 second. Now can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think let me stop the slideshow. Okay. So this is a video where I tried to give a session in one of the conferences, and while the video is being streamed, the frames and their emotions are being automatically captured like this. Like for example, let's say, let me take one example of subset. So at each frame level, for example, let me just explain one of the frames. Say if this frame 1016 is a frame number, so it is getting refreshed, automatically being added. SAD 23%, 167 by 167 pixels. So all these data are automatically rendered through Python program, as you can see. So we have tagged every frame as angry, disgust, fear, happy, etc. So in the logical sequence, what we did is we are going to download the YouTube or what as a POC. We just downloaded the video from the YouTube, and then see here 175 frames for 7 seconds. So for every second, we are going to summarize the emotions. After that, for every phase, every frame can be tagged to one of these using the model which we have developed, model.h5. This is on the facial expression frame. And post that, we have even extended, we converted the video, which is MP4, into pixels, because it's almost a 20 minutes video. MP4 file should be broken to multiple wave files, because we want to understand extract the text from the speech. So after going through that stages, we come out with something like this. Basically, like for example, let's say this is not written by me, rather it is automatically extracted from the speech. Let's start. It started with, "Hi everyone, I'm Santosh. I'm coming from Hyderabad." Of course, there is definitely an improvement for accuracy. So for every second, 1 to 7 seconds, 8 to 15 seconds, and not only that, this entire sentence of 7 seconds interval, as you can see, negative is 0, neutral is 76%, positive is 23%, like that. So every seconds, we have converted the speech to text, text to sentiment. That is one part. Every 7 seconds, we have also summarized, okay, from this to this, it is 7 seconds. What is the summary of the emotion? So we combined all these things and shown in a HTML, which Saudamini will walk through very shortly with a different use case. But here I'm trying to showcase at a high level how the technical things have gone through.
Perfect.
Let me hand over to Saudamini to share the outputs, basically the final products.
Yeah, thanks, Santosh. If you can pause the screen share, I will start.
I stopped my screen share.
Yeah, thank you. So like I mentioned, we have downloaded like 4-5 different YouTube videos which talk about the Dyson purifier. So for example, the YouTube video looks like this. And these are some of the videos that we captured across the continent and across the world. So there is one review from London, one review from China, one review from India. And also we captured the language specific things. Because there are a lot of universal products, it's important for us to understand the emotions across multiple cultures and across multiple languages as well. So what we did was, like, we ran the analytics on 4-5 different types of videos, and I will show you how the sample output looks like. So, for example, this is how the.
So you want to show the heading once?
So this is how the output looks like. So we try to capture for 10 seconds, for each 10 seconds, because 10 seconds seem to be some logical splitting, and in future we should actually fix it to automatically figure out the pauses and only extract snippets from it.
Right.
So in this time range, so we also have the ability to recognize the face IDs, and then we show multiple emotions of multiple people simultaneously. We could capture that. So for this particular face, and these are the coordinates of the face, and his emotion is happy right now. From his video, emotion looks happy, and the sentiment extracted from it, so happy means it's a positive sentiment. And this is also text snippet that we extracted, the transcript of that speech in that particular duration, and these are some important keywords of the speech. So we basically essentially aggregated the speech and video emotions and put together in one comprehensive view. So for example, if you want to see what is the negative feedback. So this guy is saying, okay, testing this to see if it actually works, because this purifier is bloody expensive. So it's able to capture that particular keyword, like bloody expensive. The moment you see negative, you will see that, yeah, the negative comment is bloody expensive, but later he talks about it's bloody expensive, but its filters are good. So you can see that journey, like how the feedback looks like. And it is not just sufficient to just see the view in a HTML format. Sometimes we would want to see the HTML view in a graphical representation. So that is why we also build these graphs on top of it for each for each review, you will see a graph like this. Okay, so the green one is the video emotion and the blue ones are speech emotions. So the moment the person is neutral, so 1 means positive, 0 means neutral, and -1 means negative. So in 2-3 cases, in this particular example, he is neutral, he is not so happy. And there are more negative instances here because they are talking about air pollution in general also. So it's not just about the purifier, but they in the text, they are sad about the air pollution problem in general. So if you can actually see these instances where the video and audio in both cases, if they are unhappy, you will be able to pinpoint the exact issues. So you can see exactly what is the output in this case. So similarly, so this way you can actually reduce lot of your time. Instead of watching the videos and figuring out on your own, the machine can give you the overview of how the product review looks like. So for example, this is an output from a London Dyson reviewer. So he has few more negative points. So that way, if Dyson has released the product, they can get an overall summary and they can build more customizations on top of this data to figure out the areas of improvement.
Wow.
And we also have one Hindi one. So
I would love to look at it, and we would love to look at, because I understand that, pretty much everything is in English, but how do you actually handle something like Hindi? I'll be really interested to know.
Yeah, so we have used a Facebook speech model to start with, and admit that it's not as good as the accuracy is not as good as English one. So we are still training the data, training the models using the customized data. And also the case is like, depending on the domains we are in. So for example, if you're in a medical domain, we should train it more with the medical data. If you're in bank domain, we should train with more data. So we will build this skeleton model, and depending on the needs of the specific domain, we will be able to retrain the model very easily, and then they can be customized according to their needs. And similarly, we can, because the reason why we used Facebook model is because they have built this one vanilla model, and then we can train with any language that we want. So it's not a language specific model as such. So we can train it with any vocabulary. So that way it fits our needs. So it works. It can easily scale to any market and any language that way.
Wow, that's brilliant. So Santosh, I think this has been a very, very interesting conversation. And before we sign off, let me just hear, when do you think this will be ready to get launched, and when do you think things will move forward? What kind of timelines are you guys working on?
So a few things that we want to work on, like once we understand the domain and understand the customer, so it requires us to retrain these models. And like I said, the language dependent thing. And also there is some video emotion retraining also needed depending on the culture. So in this particular example also, we have seen cases where Indian people, this person was more expressive, and whereas the London person was less expressive. So we also need to have that understanding. So we need more data. That is the one catch. So if we create more data, either from the customers who would want to use it, or from the open source labeling, and the models will, like we have created the framework in such a way that we will be able to train the models seamlessly.
Oh, wow. Perfect. So I think this has been a very, very interesting conversation, and we look forward to, seeing more of it coming up. Definitely in action. I would love to know how the entertainment industry benefits from it. And most importantly, some of the use cases that you said, right, in terms of traffic, in terms of workplaces, right? More so when all of us are on Zoom. I mean, we are talking about return to work at some point in time, but we don't know if the hybrid workplace is going to be the future. And you're not going to meet a lot of your future employees or current colleagues face to face, except on Zooms. And I think emotion analytics, when is you how many Zoom images do you really look at when you're talking to a, let's say, a group of 5 or 10? And if we can really use this in those circumstances, the
And
faces that I
CCTV
am
footage
missing,
also, like now
CCTV
CCTV
footage also,
footage has become very common.
Look at this as well, Tony. Like we are having this discussion from close to, let's say, half an hour to 40 minutes,
right?
right? Every one of us are going through a different emotions. We are talking, and every sentence which we speak also has its own emotion value. At the end of this call, there should be a report which automatically gets generated. How does this conversation lead? What is the emotional journey of this conversation?
We should also look at the people who are watching this. The
Correct,
emotional
correct,
journey of
correct.
people, if they liked it or not. So one thing that I want to really say at the end of this. So I worked in industry for quite 17 and half, almost 18 years. And I have joined Must Research recently. So here the working environment is like very jolly and very loyal, like the dream that you would imagine in any company, right? So like Santosh and I were working in one project, and it was all like, whenever you get free time, I will work on this part. Whenever you get free time, we will sync up. And in real office environment, it's difficult to imagine how two people who are actually working in different corporate worlds interact and deliver a project like this. But Must has gives us that opportunity, and then everyone is passionate here. So there is
Yeah,
passion is the only binding thing for people, and there is nothing beyond that.
yeah. I mean, it's really powerful. How you see a community of scientists kind of bonding and creating things together.
I think myself,
And
I myself is one very good example. Almost 4 years, I joined Musk as a member, later converted myself as a mentor, then teacher as well. Academy teacher as well. And not only that, the kind of a network which has been grown is so huge that I learn a lot and teach a lot, which never happens.
which never happens, right? So I think we look forward to how Must grows as an organization, and mostly my personal interest obviously lies in all the Must showcases that happen, because we get to see so much of cool stuff happening. And as I keep on telling that, I come from the other side, which is more of business and content. And when I look at all the cool stuff, it's like, I can go and brag about it. That okay, there's something happening here that you
I
should be
can
looking
also
at.
brag to my kids about it. So
Yeah, I'm sure. And and we'll see, because kids have become so smart nowadays. I think we'll have to run emotion analytics on them to really
yes,
figure out if they're being true, or they're trying to play some prank. So I think this has been a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much, Santosh and Saudamini. And we look forward to how emotion analytics grows as a space. We look at unusual use cases. Obviously, entertainment is the most apparent one, but we also will be looking at very unusual use cases coming out of this. So great! Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and we look forward to more.
Thank
Thank
you
you
thank you,
so
so
much.
much.
Tony.
Thanks, Shukani. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.